We won't keep you any longer than we have to, so. We will begin the Public Information and Education Committee Special Board Meeting, Director meeting and started. And today is December 11th. And we will go ahead and call the meeting to order at this point. And we'll go with our Mr. General Manager. We have a quorum.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'll read through roll call. Director Scott Houston. Here. Chairman Harold Williams.
Here.
Director Desi Alvarez. Director Gloria Gray.
I'm here.
Director Don Deere.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Very good. Then we will go to public comment.
Mr. Chairman, we have not received any requests for public comment, though this meeting is being held both in person and virtually. If there are any members of the public that would like to make public comment, now would be the time to do so. Please indicate so by raising your virtual hand at the very top of your screen. Mr. Chairman, I do not see any requests for public comment.
And then we'll move on to presentations. We have any?
Mr. Chairman, we do not have any public or presentations.
We have nothing on the action calendar.
That is correct.
So we'll move to the information calendar and I will give control of the meeting to you.
Yes, thank you very much. The first item that we have for you under the information calendar is item 6A. It's our education programs update. And for this presentation, we have Janelle Akayan, our public information specialist.
Morning, Chair Williams and members of the board and committee. I'm pleased to provide you all with an education programs update for the school year 2023 through 2024. And we'll actually start on page 12 of the agenda packet. That's going to be attachment B, which showcases the report overview that we'll be covering today. And the photo that you see featured up here is a great photo of our student artists from Soul Academy, who were the creative individuals behind that beautiful chalk block featured at this year's Water Harvest Festival. And it's just one example of how we love to feature our education partners throughout the school year and throughout our different. So moving on to page 13 of the agenda packet, going into field trips. And the photo over here actually features Bennett Q Academy from Inglewood on one of the first school tours that we had this school year back in September. To date, we've already served nearly 1,000 students through 21 sessions. So we've been moving forward in full boards. And we are actually fully booked for this entire school year with 92 sessions that are expected to serve over 4,000 students. And a full list of reservations by division and date is included in the agenda item attachment A. On this page, I will kind of acknowledge that there is a lower participation rate in Division 2, which is actually partially contributed by the redistricting of Lennox schools to Division 5 and the retirement of teachers, but we are always working on making sure that we engage appropriately with our Inglewood area teachers, hopefully get them scheduled for more school tours in subsequent years. And we do already have a couple of Inglewood schools that are scheduled for art lessons in anticipation of our upcoming art. So we are continuing to engage with schools that are a little less represented in participation for our school tour program, but hope to continue building those relationships and partnerships with them. Moving on to the next page. And as part of our school tour program, we also send all participating schools home with a take-home conservation kit through our Water Start program. And we do love to recognize the schools and students that go out of their way to actually install the take-home water conservation devices that we provide. So we just wanted to take a moment to recognize Patricia Driesler Continuation High School, where all of the students submitted their water conservation data and installed all of the devices that we provided to them, resulting in an estimated water savings of 80,000 gallons just for the calendar year 2023. So we look forward to continue working and encouraging our local students to adopt the water conservation as a way of life. So moving on to page 15 now for our student art calendar. As you can see here, Metropolitan Water District selected 2 students, Ava Steins and Dagny Tang, coming from Division 4 and Division 1 respectively, to feature in their 2024 art calendar. Are very pleased, and we actually already provided the directors with 5 copies of the calendars today. You should already have it. But we look forward to joining Met to recognize these students at an online ceremony this Thursday, December 14th. Moving on to the next page, which is packet page 16. West Basin Local Student Art Contest will launch next month in January. And I just wanted to highlight a couple of things for this year's contest. I know previously we called it the Water is Life Student Art Contest in line with Metropolitan's program, but they've also rebranded the program with a new theme of being Water Wise Is. So we are also following suit in that direction, and it kind of showcases the need and the move to encourage our students to think about wise water use and water conservation. So we hope to see that shift in student artwork this year as well. And then another new element that Metropolitan has introduced is they are now accepting multiple art media forms. So that could be sculptures, it could be computer generated artwork as well. So we're going to open that up as well and see what kind of creative artwork submissions that we can receive this year. We will continue with the other methods of promoting participation, which include having art lessons at our local schools for teachers that requested, and we'll also provide free art supplies for our priority schools as well. So moving on to the next page for the timeline of our new Being Water Wise Is student art contest. Again, it's expected to launch in January with submissions due in March. We do also plan to recognize our up to 15 student winners at the April board meeting. And of course, we appreciate the director's support in making sure we get the word out to our service area schools. Moving on to page 18, another one of our education programs is the Water Engineering for Good, which actually replaces Metropolitan Solar Cup program. This is a similar engineering focused program that now engages middle schools that want to participate, but it focuses on teaching students on developing their own water conservation strategy or water saving plans. And representing West Basin this year is Palos Verdes Peninsula High School in Division 1. So we look forward to reporting back on their performance throughout this program at the end of the program in March 2020. Moving on to the next page, this is page 19 of the agenda packet. Again, recognizing our longstanding partnership with the Surfrider South Bay chapter for the teaching test program. And this program has really exploded, if you will, in the past few years with really high student participation and engagement, which is really great and what we love to see. And we're also engaging a couple of nonprofit volunteer organizations this year. We also were able to celebrate with the group December 3rd, just a couple Sundays ago, to present them with a check. And we are also recognizing them on social media and on a web news story. Moving on for the last page of this, or one of the last pages of this report, which is our final program that we'll be covering, which is a drop in the bucket. This is our on-campus school assembly program, which serves grades 3 through 8, and it's an opportunity for students to learn about Southern California water resources, practical ways to conserve water in the home, and also they get a chance to build a aqueduct, as you can see with them connecting the pipes in this photo right over here. So this is a spring program and also intended to serve as an overflow for teachers that wanted to schedule a school tour, but were not able to meet it because we're already fully booked. So we look forward to continue to promoting this program and of course reporting back to the board with. So it has been a while since we have presented an education update to the board, so I just wanted to provide a few highlights on the subsequent photos in the subsequent slides to showcase what we've been up to. So moving on to the next page of the agenda packet. Next one, please. So over the summer, PI team actually held several staff tour guide trainings for the engineering and operations department, just so that they can get trained in best practices for providing tours of the Edward C. Little water recycling facilities. You can see a good chunk of our staff members were present, and we're excited to work with them to continue providing high quality tours of the facility. On the next slide, you can actually see some highlights of our water education committee that took place back in August, where we hosted similar water education coordinators from across the state of California and kind of talked about the importance of careers in the water industry, and also hosted them for a tour at ECL. On the next slide, I was really honored to join the California Water Environment Association for a virtual careers chat back in October, which actually gained approximately 100 attendees who are interested in pursuing a career in the water industry. We're joined by Mr. John Kahlo from the Los Angeles Trade Tech and Michael Robinson, who works at Veolia at the plant. Moving on to the next slide. We continue to work and develop partnerships with our local schools. So this is a great photo where I was able to join Holly Glen Elementary School in Division 4 for a story reading of Water by Frank Ash. This is back at the end of October. And on the next slide, we're also able to work with Metropolitan Water District to host a tour of Diamond Valley Lake for our intern cohort, as well as all of our Roundhouse Aquarium instructors who provide the programming at the tour programming at our Edward C. Little water recycling facility and at the aquarium as part of our school. So this is just the highlight of how we continue to make sure that our educators, our instructors are up to date with everything pertaining to our imported water sources. And now for the final slide on this packet, which is showcasing a tour of Nishimoto Academy coming from the city of Lomita. We were able to host them for a tour of the facility, and again, showcasing how West Basin works hard to provide a sustainable supply of recycled water to our local communities. So that we have been very busy so far this school year, but we look forward to continuing to foster and develop relationships with our local schools, local students, and encourage the next generation of water workers. So that's it. That concludes my report, and I'm happy to take questions if there are.
Questions, anyone?
Only question is Nishimoto, right? Nishimoto Academy. They're in Lomita, but I never heard of them. What do they do?
So they are actually like a dual immersion school that takes a lot of students that are Japanese speaking, and we actually just hosted them for a tour at our facility because they are interested in developing a report on sustainable water solutions in Los Angeles County. They're actually partnered with a sister school in Japan, so they will be taking what they learned from their school tour, developing a report, and hopefully we'll be able to share out.
Oh, it's good for the last 3 months. Yes, thank you.
Anyone else? No? Go ahead.
Yep. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Janelle, for that presentation. Our education program, I think, is second to none when it comes to water agencies providing education to our service area. So thank you very much for the presentation. The next,
Just to clarify, we're booked up for the whole rest of the year, of the school year.
Through, I believe our last school tour is June 14, 2020.
next item that we have is item 6B. It's our community engagement update. And for this presentation, we have Daryl Ramos Young, our public information specialist 3.
Thank you, Jay, and good morning, Chairperson Williams, members of the committee and board. This quarterly communication, community engagement report, which begins on packet page 28, summarizes public outreach and education activities conducted over the past 3 months, October, November, and December. A total of 16 community engagement activities were completed during this period, a reduction from last quarter's 26 activities. This is the result of the Public Information and Education Department focus on Water Harvest Festival implementation in October and not scheduling Know Your H2O classes and Saturday public tours due to low public demand during the holiday season in November and December. The first community engagement category, water recycling facility public tours, details the 4 public tours conducted this quarter, including a tour on Friday, October 27th for the Los Angeles Trade Technical College. Since 2021, the ECL facility tour has been integrated into their process technology course curriculum each semester. And if it's not obvious, the far right column in the company charts record the number of attendees per event. So for that tour, there were 10 students participating, a small number compared to some of the other tours we regularly conduct, but a really enriching experience for those 10 students because this is the rare opportunity for them to take the academic theory in the classroom and see how it's really applied in a working water production facility. So the professor is just extremely grateful, as are the students, to be immersed in the actual work environment. On Tuesday, November 21st, Venturing Crew, an inclusive program of the Boy Scouts of America for males and females, and Lone Scouts, individuals who can't conveniently join a scout troop, participate in the facility tour as part of their effort to earn their conservation badge. Participants hailed from Redondo Beach to Whittier and as far north as San Francisco. Some people were down for Thanksgiving holidays and took advantage of this coordinator for the Venturing Crews tour for the region. Yeah. Under the Speakers Bureau presentation category, Janelle has already highlighted, the storytelling opportunity over at the Holly Glen Elementary School, October 27th. Because this on-campus visit request is not officially part of West Basin's education program, facility tours and the classroom assembly program, staff captures such attendee numbers from such program requests, like the 4 sessions that were part of this storytelling event, here under community engagement for posterity. The same thing with the Nishimoto school tour. On packet page 29, one can see the district continues to identify and participate in vendor outreach events in the community, as demonstrated by the West Basin participation in the Southern California Water Utilities Vendor Fair. That was in Erindale, and a business development conference, which took place at the Port of Long Beach in October. So thank you to the district's procurement, engineering, and operations department for representing West Basin and broadening the agency's reach. The district also continues to promote career opportunities available with the agency and within the water industry through participation in the 3-day West LA College Climate Careers Conference that was led by our water policy and resource analyst, Jennifer Vasquez. And then the BizFed Institute Workforce Development Forum and Career Fair, which was led by our own HR manager, Elisa Messinas Fidelio. As you can see, Supervisor Holly Mitchell's Senior Resource Workshop is scheduled to take place this Wednesday, December 13th. I have to make a correction since this report was submitted 2 weeks ago. We received an update this morning that the expected attendee number is going to be a lot less than anticipated. It's going to be between 30 to 50 attendees. So much smaller than Congresswoman Berrigan's event here in Carson, which we participated in August early this year. But at least those attendees will be able to learn of the water efficiency and rebate programs of which they can benefit from West Basin. Once this event concludes this week, the anticipated total number of public served by West Basin Community Engagement Programs will be over 1,300 people during this 3-month period. Not included in this number are members of the public touched by the effort in coordinating event sponsorship advertisement designs, packaging and delivering agency literature and program collateral, and drafting director talking points for 13 additional community outreach sponsor events not listed in these charts, but which directly support individual West Basin board member engagement efforts in the communities they serve. This concludes my report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Very good. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you. Thanks, Joe, for reminding us that workshop coming up. So they say the new attendee number is revised down to what would be percent?
30 to 50.
50?
Yes.
Told someone about it, so I want to send them the info, but it's open to the public, right?
Yes, yes, free.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else? Director Gray? Hear none? Go on.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the next item that we have is item 6C. It's a final wrap up of our Water Harvest 2023. So it's an update on the activities that we held there in October. And for this presentation, we have Mel Miranda, our Public Information Specialist 2, as well as Janelle and Kyan, our Public Information Specialist 1. Mel?
Morning, Chair Williams and members of the board and committee. This will be our summary for the Water Harvest Festival on October 14th. I will start with the comparison between this year and last year on packet page 33. As you can see, this event fell on the second Saturday of October compared to the third Saturday of last year. And we also used a different contract supporting coast to coast conferences to provide a different lens to the events. Additionally, we hosted a very successful breakfast mixer prior to the opening. The images coming in an upcoming slide. Our educational opportunities again included Wildwoods facility tours, 34 booths total, up from 1 booth from last year, activity and hands-on at almost all booths, and an interactive garden corner with UC Master Gardeners. The next slide, please. As you can see here on packet page 34 are some of the specific highlights that included 4 new booths, which were West Bases Doing Business With Us, Jacobs, and the South Bay Parkland Conservancy. Other popular attractions were the Garden Corner, the Kids Costume Contest, Story Time with Vail Secondary Library, the Seoul Arts Academy Chalk Walk, the Rain Barrel Giveaways, always popular Reptile Petting Zoo, facility tours, the new and improved opportunity drawing process that included 9 prizes and 1 grand prize, and of course the Haddock Burger. And speaking of tours, it was estimated that over 300 people participated in the tours during the 4-hour span. As you can see from the photos, everyone had a great time, except for possibly the shark whose jaws Director Williams sold. And the next slide are photos from the breakfast mixer that preceded the festival. Again, a big thank you to Elisa and Amy for their lead. On the next slide, please, on packet page 36 are the attendance numbers. Our total number of attendees decreased slightly, but we still enjoyed a great turnout. Divisions 4 and 5 saw the biggest bumps, increasing by 16% and 30% respectively, with these percentages taken from the number of opportunity drawing tickets turned in and a worker clicking the manual tally. Also keep in mind that counting practices have gotten more accurate recently, so the higher numbers in the past may not have been as precise as listed. The next slide on packet page 37 is a graph depicting the attendance over a 10-year span, with the next slide showing attendance over the same span, highlighting those who came from outside the service area. This year saw 11% of the attendees come from outside, an increase of 6% from last year. The next slide breaks down the attendance by division. Starting with Division 1, the highlight is attendance from the Palos Verdes Estates area, with the majority of the attendees coming from Carson. Division 2 on the next slide saw an increase of residents this year, mostly coming from Inglewood. On the next slide on packet page 41, Division 3 saw much higher participation from Redondo Beach and Torrance this year in terms of tickets turned in, more than tripling the percentage from last year. The next slide shows Division 4 saw an increase of approximately 2.5 times the attendees based on tickets collected, with residents from El Segundo and Hawthorne comprising the majority of attendees. Additionally, West Hollywood residents attended the event after none were recorded last year. And last but not least is Division 5 on packet page 43. This year, there were residents from Lenox who attended, with Hawthorne earning the most representation. On the next slide, packet page 44 shows the breakdown of attendees from outside the service area. On the slide, Los Angeles saw the biggest increase, with 6 times the number of attendees this year to make up the majority of out-of-service area attendees. Also, the total number of tickets collected from outside the service area more than doubled from last year. The next slide on packet page 45 shows our event promotion efforts. Despite downsizing our spend on print advertising, we still earn media coverage from the Daily Breeze and Beach Reporter. This festival also is previewed on El Segundo TV, as well as on KNX Radio in an interview with Amy Rocha. On packet page 46 is our other event promotion efforts. Over 12,000 flyers were distributed to 31 schools, with 70 receiving the digital flyer. Additionally, 3,100 flyers were sent to 31 local libraries and city halls. Electronically, 8 e-blasts were sent, and we also promoted the event with 2 reels, also known as short movies, 4 static posts, and 25 Instagram stories, illustrating our heightened efforts digitally. Additionally, we employed a monument banner and created our event page, homepage banner, and a press release. The next slides on pages 47 through 50 summarize our earned media, paid ad, and other efforts to promote the events. Again, these attachments are all located on packet pages 58 to 79 as attachment B. On packet page 51 is a breakdown of our promo efforts that follow on the next slide. Here you see that family and friends, the flyer, social media, and the West Basin e-newsletter were the most successful means to promote the event, with these 4 also placing in the top 4 last year. With that, I'll turn the rest of the summary over to Janelle and Kai.
Thank you, Mel, for getting this one started. I want to stay on this slide and just highlight social media as a really effective way to promote water harvest. Just as an example, this is social media advertising is the most cost-effective way to promote water harvest. We actually invested less than $1,000 on social media ads with a higher return on investment compared to advertising with LA Parent Magazine. So just shows the continued need for us to leverage our social media platforms to encourage more participation at water harvest for future events. I'll move on to packet page 52, showcasing that we actually broke a record of sponsorship this year, totaling to $41,500 in sponsorship. So big thank you to all of our sponsors, as you can see listed on the slide here, as well as the admin team and specifically Kaya for helping to secure all of these sponsors as well. Moving on to page 53, that also connects us to our budget overview for this year's event. And our projected actuals are actually within budget. We project that we spent approximately $152,000 on the event this year, which is considerably under budget from our $184,000 budget. Again, I will say that this is our projected actuals. We still have some things that are trickling in, but we have been working really closely with our finance and accounting department to make sure we have accurate figures. So we are actually tracking pretty consistently with the 2019 water harvest event, and considering the elements for last year's 75th anniversary themed event and these ad hoc and special that we added. This year, we really focused on looking at cost-effective ways to still maintain the educational value of this year's water harvest. A few reasons why we did come under budget this year is because the Wyland Foundation Mobile Learning Experience, which typically costs a few $1,000s, was not available for this year's event, but we would like to request them for next year's festival as well. And a big chunk of cost reductions is due to our minimizing on cost for ad hoc requests, for single-use signage and printing as well. So again, we're looking at ways to still maintain the educational value of the event without impeding on our budget. But moving forward, we will work closely with the finance team to create a balanced budget, a realistic budget that also takes into account any inflation and any enhancements that we would like to include for next year's festival. So we will actually consider that in the next. A big thing to consider as well is that our sponsorships were about a third of the total actuals of the event. So that actually brought our total cost to the event closer to $110,000. So again, we're very thankful for the level of sponsorships, some sponsorships we've received. Moving on to the next slide to give you all an overview of the typical planning process for a water harvest event. And again, we are reporting to you all in December, and we typically start planning for the event in January or February with budget planning. So this really is a full year affair, even though the event typically takes place on over 4 hours on a Saturday in October. But it really does take a village and showcase the significant support that we received from the rest of Team West Basin. We'll go on to the next couple of slides to showcase some photos of the wonderful West Basin team for helping out on the event. And we had a significant amount of staff volunteers that helped us with setup on that Friday before the Water Harvest Festival. And you can see, I think, Matt and Gus in the bottom center photo setting up some planter pots as well for their booth. You can see Joel spraying down some shoes in anticipation for our tourism as well. On the next slide, we also get a lot of contributions from outside helpers. So upper left, we have Soul Arts Academy, and they were actually writing out or drawing out that art chalk block that we featured. We got a lot of support from BOE as well. And of course, we had student volunteers from Lawndale High School helping out on the day of, as well as some contracted support from that. So moving on to the next page, I would like to just highlight that next year's festival will be the 25th Annual Water Harvest Festival, which is another accomplishment. And we will actually start fiscal year budget planning in January into February as well, and look forward to reaching the following milestones and of course working with the board of directors on updates when the time comes. So that I think it was an excellent event this year. And it really was due in part by our large staff team that really made it happen. We're looking forward to another successful year next year. And with that, we'll be happy to take any questions.
Questions?
I will say more of a couple comments really quickly, and it was great. It was excellent, and I heard lots of good feedback. I think I indicated that before to you all. I think we really are striving in how we run this. I think the balance was right on the shaded areas versus, what we did the year prior, et cetera, et cetera. And thank you for all the work on the budget, let alone sponsorships. It was just a really fun event. Two things I wanted to bring your attention not to forget was some of the folks there were asking if we could down the road bring back some of our little branded buckets. I think WRD had some in the past. I think we've had in the past, but people were asking for those. So I don't know how many you would order without just go to everybody, but that was something people were asking me about, if you get the buckets. And then the other thing was, I do think the speaking situation is always a challenge. And remember, we started at 10:30 or we started something, and honestly, nobody's there. It's a little closer to lunchtime when you all are starting the costume contest and things. So my suggestion would be we just push back the welcoming and the speaking, because there's nobody in that area yet. And it's just not really worthwhile. And I totally get that they're not paying attention yet. So, but with that, I know we'll talk about other feedback issues, but I think thank you very much to all of you.
Director Deere?
Nothing to add. It was very good. Thank you.
Same here. Like I said before, that I've not been to a bad water harvest event yet. And I gotta tell you that this past one was really great. And you guys did an excellent job. And I know you're gonna keep on doing it because you set the bar now. So we expect better next year.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Gregg.
Mr. Chair, thank you.
Sure.
I was sorry I was not at the water harvest. All the years I've been on the board, I don't think I've missed very many. This may have been my first or second one, but I think staff always does a great job with what they do. So thank you.
All right, so thank you very much, and what's next?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the next item is item 6D. It's our monthly communications update. And for this presentation, we have Mel Miranda, our public information specialist too.
Morning again, Chair Williams, Board Committee. I'll start the communications update on packet page 82 with a snapshot of our media coverage. Our earned media coverage included 2 patch newspaper items covering rain barrel events, in addition to the city of Malibu covering its rain barrel events. Also listed is the Daily Breeze listed the Cal Water legal notice in its classified section. And as always, all media available in attachment B located in packet pages 94 to 98. Our next slide on packet page 83 begins our top social media posts by platform. These include the water bottle filling stations, Governor Newsom signing AB 1572, a reel on National STEM/STEAM Day, a spotlight on Genesis Fernandez from Water Policy, and Congressman Schiff's staff tour of ECL. On the next slide, packet page 85 shows our collaborating in the United Against Hate campaign. One slide over, please. This is the week-long social media effort aimed at fostering unity and resilience in the community. We shared neighboring cities' posts followed by our own. In total, there were 13 social media posts covering 7 cities, and a web news story was also posted online. The next slide on packet page 86 shows a few examples of other cities' efforts and West Basin sharing their posts. Up next are some notable items. On packet page 88, as Janelle mentioned earlier, some staff that were able to take a tour of the Diamond Valley Lake, including our interns, which is located in Hemet. It was sponsored by the Metropolitan Water District and sponsored by our West Basin educators. The next notable item is that the Rain Barrel program is complete, with Water Policy providing more information to follow. For this, a web news story has been posted, which highlighted our community-based organizations who volunteered their time and energy over the course of 6 days. The next slide showcases our holiday card, which were mailed out last week. Again, great job by Michael Fabrio for his graphic expertise. Next up on packet page 91 is an update on the PD lateral, and I'll hand it over to Daryl for an update.
Thanks, Mel. West Basin's contracted construction awareness team, Morikawa Communications, has now re-canvassed areas along the Torrance pipeline alignment, disseminating public notices regarding the pipeline construction activity, which started on October 24th and is anticipated to continue to January 2024. A similar public notice detailing December 26th to the spring 2024 construction activity has been approved by the City of Palos Verdes Estates, their Public Works Department, as required by their 30-day in advance public notification process, and that notice has been disseminated to their neighborhoods along the alignment. The city also requires a 15-day in advance construction notice, which is being issued today, and then a 48-hour advance notification will be issued when appropriate. The construction awareness team has successfully communicated with Richardson Middle School administration, resulting in the construction contractor scheduling pipeline installation during the holidays to reduce traffic congestion. No staff or public presentations have been requested by the school. The construction awareness team continues to reach out to Riviera Elementary School as construction continues in proximity to campus and Rocket Ship Park. The construction awareness team also continues to be responsive to several resident concerns regarding dust, noise, idling vehicles, and project sign location. The construction contractor has been very proactive in resolving these concerns. The construction awareness team continues to follow up with stakeholder groups, offering project presentation opportunities and shared project information resources for their use with their own communication networks. The team also continues daily monitoring of the project hotline and email inbox and is coordinating public notifications and responses to stakeholders with the city of Torrance and Palos Verdes Estates. So it's always ongoing. Back to you.
Thank you, Daryl. Next slide, please. As we close out the calendar year, here are some items on our radar that include the art contest launch that Janelle mentioned, the board reorganization announcement, and the career fair. And for the career fair, as an FYI, Amy, Janelle, and Jennifer Vasquez recently just met and are in the planning stages of organizing a water industry career fair with March as its target date. We will have more updates at our next committee meeting in January. With that, concludes our communication summary. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Question or two. Number one, Ken, thank you. Maybe think that really great job, stepping up so much in the last couple of years. And also, I didn't say it earlier, but even looking at the way you're advertising or using the dollars to get the word out, thank you. Excellent. But I guess that's maybe one or two questions. So on the upcoming, and earlier you mentioned it, so the art contest launch, which that's starting next month, right? Okay. I don't know what the plan is, but I assume there's going to press release or some other thing. So I also would assume you're going to need to get a draft to me, as president, soon, so I can see it. So we're ready to go as the year starts. Okay, so I'll work with you guys on that. And then the board reorganization announcement, and it says promotion, but what does that mean? Because normally don't we do it after the fact, or are we we bring somehow?
No, we've always done something after the fact, after the action by the board of directors.
Since it says promotion, I didn't know.
Probably mislabeled.
Maybe it is just,
Yeah.
that's after the fact into January, after the January.
Correct.
Very much.
You know what I'd like to see happen? I'd like for us to really hone in on elementary schools. Because I think that's where we, not only us, but most folks forget that those are the folks we should be touching. Because if they get to the third, fourth grade, and the only thing they hear are other kinds of professions, they don't get introduced to water until they've already made their minds up that water is the last thing I want to do. I just want a glass of water. But I think we need to, because we're in an area where technology is high in our area, and there are a lot of things out there, a lot more exciting at that age than water. But we know that water is a great profession, because you can take your family out on weekends and take them to the lakes, reservoirs, dams, and say, this is what I do here. So I'd like for us to, what can we do to start in at that elementary school level, and we could keep them involved.
Mr. Chairman, that's one thing that obviously is important in West Basin Municipal Water District in our education program. And it's really important to note, not only do you see that with the school tours that we provide throughout our service area, but the other activities as well. Our water harvest is geared towards younger children. And just this past, I guess it was last Sunday, so not yesterday, I had the opportunity to just come and see the way our staff worked with the Surf Rider Teach and Test program. And we did a check presentation. I know Director Alvarez was able to make it and spoke specifically about this to this specific age group about working in water and the diverse jobs from top to bottom, anything, and the great lives that it can create. And it was an amazing event to see. We had 2 staff members there led by Janelle. And of course, everybody there spoke extremely highly of Janelle and everything that she does on behalf of our district. But then also the ability to spread that message. Director Alvarez actually gave a short speech and really hit that message directly. And it was great to see, how that is received by young children, where they start to look at the different jobs around them. So I would say that West Basin is always striving to do better, but we're doing an amazing job right now. But we'll just step it up every year.
Because we're not hitting enough folks. I mean, these young folks out there, they're our future. I mean, if they don't get into water conservation, as a career opportunity or anything, we're gonna be hurting down the road. We're gonna be where we were when we first began building the big aqueducts. There was nobody around who were interested in working on those things. And things happen. Don't have folks. You have to go outside of the country to find people. We want to stop doing that. We got people right here that should be gearing up to walk into those outstanding positions. I didn't learn about water until I was grown. I mean, I had already done my thing in transportation, and then I came to water. You know, because those petrol trains look pretty nifty, you know. But anyway, we need to stay on top of that, and whatever we can to get young people, elementary school kids, involved. And to the point where, oh yeah, I'd like to be a water treatment plant operator when I get out of here, you know. Those are some exciting jobs. All right, that's enough.
I'll just add a comment. No, I think he's exactly right. And of course, it's probably easier said than done. But on the other hand, what I was thinking is, we do have some of our nonprofit partners, you all know, that some of them are more geared toward middle school teenagers, but some of them may have programs for the younger ones, and that might be good to, how do we better engage and work with them, like Green, Surfrider, the teach and test program, I know it's more high school based, but to where, you know, we give them those specialized tours at the plant. I know Grace Green did one. It might have been a little more for the older kids, if you will. But there's some other low hanging fruit in my mind. And there are some other great nonprofits you all know about that we work with that we might not aware of. But beyond the schools, that's another option. They might already engage, but we got to get them interested in a career path. You know, working with those elementary and middle schools in our district, I think really. I'll just say, yesterday I was also in the holiday parade, and you know, as you're going along, it kind of stops and goes. And there's a lot of little kids that were from like Richmond Street Elementary School and others, because they had little shirts on, but I had like 2 sets of them, different ones that, oh, we're going on the tour next week, which I see is in your calendar. So they were all excited. And then some other kids were yelling at me that they had been on the tour. You know, I always talk about it. It was funny. There was 2 kids and or the parents. They were hollering at me saying, we're going next week or something. So the kids know about it, but it's how do we get them into the career path. So I know you all are really good at this, and EJ is good at helping push out what we're trying to do here. But food for thought. Also think about some of those nonprofits in our South Bay and West Side that we may not always put on this issue. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Okay, I just want to say this and we'll move on. But I had my great grandson, tell me that he wanted to be, and he's like a little guy, I don't know, 7 years old. I want to be an aerospace engineer. Oh, no. Not good. Where do we live? We live in an area where there are a lot of aerospace and also some outstanding jobs. But then I had a little kid to say to me that I want to be a marine biologist. That's what where did you learn about this? But yeah, so they're listening. And they're looking at stuff. So, we gotta be there for them. They'll be there for us. 'Cause we're gonna continue to drink water for a long time. So anyway. Let's go, yeah, thank you. Go ahead.
Well, Mr. Chairman, the next item that we have is item 6E, and it includes two of my favorite things. One, the presentation is on the West Basin Rain Barrel Distribution Program survey. And the second piece of this is that, as you know, earlier this year, West Basin actually made a significant modification to our internship program. Rather than bringing in individual interns for the different departments when needed, what we did is we brought in a team of interns. And you might have seen a photo earlier of Diamond Valley Lake. We had a team of our interns go and do a tour of the facility with some of our other staff. But as part of the education process for all interns, we hope to bring them back to present to a committee or board on some of the work that they've been doing. And this is the first one of those presentations. So for this presentation, we have Genesis Fernandez, our water policy and resources intern.
Good morning, Chair Williams, committee and board members. My presentation will begin on page 103 and the slide with the slide for the Rain Barrel Distribution Program survey. So before we get into details about the survey, I wanted to provide you a bit of a background information as to why our department conducted this survey. The West Basin launched the Rain Barrel Distribution Program back in 2015. And since then, over 15,000 rain barrels have been distributed. Even though it's been about 8 years since the program was launched, we've never opened up a space for residents to provide us feedback in order for us to improve the program. So we thought it would be a good idea for us to open up that space and also for us to learn about how residents are using the rain barrels and about any challenges that the residents might be having with the rain barrels as well. Can we go on to the next slide, please? In order to obtain feedback from residents, we created a list of past participants and we uploaded this list to the Constant Contact platform. Constant Contact is the platform that is used by West Basin to do these types of activities. And we also, using the Constant Contact platform, we also created a short survey. We wanted to make sure that the survey was short and for that reason, we made sure that most of the questions were multiple choice. The survey was sent out to the list of contacts that was uploaded to Constant Contact on September 7th, and 968 residents received the email. And of those 968 people, 563 opened the email, 263 started the survey, and we actually had 104 residents complete the survey. 1 week later, on September 14th, we sent out a second email with to the same list of contacts. And this time we had 522 residents open the email. We had an additional 137 residents start the email, and we had an additional 60 residents complete the survey. So in total, after sending out both emails, we had 164 respondents total to our survey. Also, in order to incentivize residents to complete our survey, we put together a West Basin gift basket pictured there. And through the same emails, we let our residents know that they would have a chance to earn or win the West Basin gift basket if they completed the survey. Next slide, please. So as we previously mentioned, most of our questions were multiple choice. And for this presentation, I have only included the top response to those questions. Our first question was, how many rain barrels do you have? With most respondents saying that they had 2 rain barrels. The second question was, how long have you had the rain barrel? And most respondents said that they had the rain barrel anywhere from 1 to 3 years. We also asked if they've used a rain barrel as part of the stormwater capture component for a grass replacement project, and most residents said no. Next slide, please. It was also important for us to learn about how residents are using the water that they collect in the rain barrels, and we were happy to know that they are using the water that they're collecting to water their plants or trees. And we were also happy to know that most residents are not having any issues with the rain barrels. Next slide, please. I also wanted to highlight that 95% of survey respondents were happy with the rain barrels, and they said that they would recommend that a friend or a family of theirs obtain a rain barrel. So that we were glad to know that the large majority of respondents were happy. I also included some of the comments, the positive comments that residents gave us. Keep doing what you're doing. I think your program is just fine the way it is. I love collecting water in my barrels. Thank you. And next slide, please. We also collected some feedback from customers with issues they were having with the rain barrels. Most of them being that they were having issues with the spouts, either breaking or leaking. And some residents were also having problems with the mesh getting clogged. We noted that these were mostly issues relating to maintenance of the rain barrels. So this might be something that we might want to address in the future, maybe provide extra literature during, distribution events. Next slide, please. As part of the questions, we also asked residents what community they lived in. And most of the residents responded that they either lived in Redondo Beach, Gardena, Rancho Palos Verdes, or Manhattan Beach. I want to note that this was an open-ended question, and respondents were allowed to skip this question. So in the future, we might want to consider making this a required question, since, knowing where our respondents are or what community our respondents live in is very important. Next slide, please. And as our last question for our survey, we asked our residents how West Basin can improve the program. And residents said that we could provide more rain barrels, provide smaller rain barrels, provide stands for the rain barrels, replacement parts, and more distribution dates and times. These were common things that we found during feedback that was given to us from our residents or from respondents. So that doesn't necessarily mean that our department is saying that these are the suggestions we're making. We just wanted to highlight, like I said, the more common responses. Next slide. And that concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions regarding. Thank you.
Questions? I guess again, really not as much question but comments, and thank you. And number one, we all know it's not a scientific survey. The folks who did it, wherever they're coming from, thank you to them that they gave us feedback. And big picture, I've heard very little issues or concerns with the rain barrels, except once in a while spout not working properly, et cetera. And I know I brought the staff's attention, usually Gus or EJ, someone has worked with the resident. I think in the big picture, we keep doing what we're doing. Maybe there is a way when we are at the distribution events, if we want to add some more literature, as you suggested, to things, because I know we put in how to paint it. But there was, I don't remember what it was right now, but I know at the Culver City event, there was a couple of things that we were all just talking about and thinking about doing that as a way to help just add an additional bit of information up front with folks so they would understand if something's broken or not working, or how do they, deal with that with us, or what else we can help provide them with. And last but not least, I think that as we go into the budget cycle, EJ, we should look at upping the number we give out again a bit. Because we used to do 400, I think this year was 300, right? So we got them all out this cycle. And in some ways, we had a lot of demand in some divisions. And, at the 11th hour, we were having some stragglers come in on our very last one in Culver City. But all that being said, we got it done. So I really think we should find a little higher number. I'm just thinking 350. But when you start your budget process, I just think that these are popular enough, we should do it. And then the other thing I would ask too is I know people are limited to the 1 or 2 barrels, but is there a point where they can come back, or is that just permanently they cannot come back for another barrel? Because there are other ones that are really, into dealing with the rain barrels. So maybe that's something too. How do you address, what's the time before someone can apply? But those are just ideas and suggestions.
Gus, is there,
Yes, thank you, EJ. Good afternoon, directors. To answer your question, Director Houston, yes, part of the funding that we receive comes from the Metropolitan Water District for our programs. We receive $35 per rain barrel from them. So these are the rules, guidelines that they have, is that residents can get only 2 rain barrels maximum per life. And they do audit their records and our records as well. So that's why we only give away 2 rain barrels for the MWD rules.
and then staff is happy to look at adding more rain barrels. It's really important to note that Gus obviously has attended all of the events. We've been at those events sometimes where we're working the phone calls and begging people to come in. We're storing sometimes rain barrels at schools and our site locations because they're not all picked up. And then, of course, we have an event like Manhattan Beach was probably the quickest I've ever seen, where everything was given away in 1 hour, and they were done and they were out of there. So it really varies. But moving the rain barrels when there are several left over becomes extremely problematic. And so we've kind of found that there's a significant no-show rate. But in times this year was a really good year for us, although I think the first event or the second event, we had a few left over. But we'll continue to work on that, the program, and I hope you see this, doing a survey. The whole intent is to see if we can make it better, make sure that anybody who wants a rain barrel can get one and has that ease of getting them. So we'll continue to fine tune the program.
And also, we do have some spare parts here for folks who do call, who may have received a rain barrel years ago and looking for a new mesh net or another part, and we will mail those to them free of charge to help them out if they have older rain barrels.
It's amazing that some folks don't realize that they can turn that screen over, just rinse it. I mean, it's very fine particles that get caught in there. And it doesn't rain. You know, we don't have hard pounding rain most of the time. So the stuff that comes as a part, driven by the sediments that are coming off the roof of the tiny particle, and they're being pushed by the dew rather than rainfall, so that it sticks. So if you turn the screen over and run the water through a little higher, from your hose, it cleans out really quick. And it looks like it's cemented in there, but it isn't. It looks that way. You guys are doing a great job. Appreciate it. All right. Next question.
All right. Thank you very much, Genesis. The next item that we have is item 6F. It is our monthly conservation programs update. And as always, we have Gus Mesa and Jennifer Vasquez for this presentation.
Okay, good afternoon, Chairman Williams, members of the board and committee. For this presentation, Jennifer Vasquez and I will be using the PowerPoint that's located on packet page 121. But before I get into our program updates, I did want to let our directors know that we held a workshop for our retailers a few weeks ago on the topic of the state's conservation framework, which included planning and complying with the state's upcoming water use objectives for urban water retailer providers. This is a very important topic that we've touched upon in previous water policy committees, but because it's conservation related, I also wanted to highlight some of our ongoing efforts here for the board. The good news is that we had participation from one or more representatives from every one of our retailers. attend this workshop. So that was great news. We had several goals for this workshop, which included one, to educate our retailers about the pending regulations. Two, to provide them with some initial resources to help them prepare for the future reporting and compliance. And three, to give them advice, to give them advance notice that we intend to meet with them one-on-one in the next coming months here to see how West Basin can support their organizations with future programs or other resources. We want to continue communicating with our retailers about these regulations and how West Basin can assist them with our programs. Ultimately, retailers are responsible for meeting these requirements. But West Basin, as I mentioned, wants to provide assistance and guidance wherever we can to our customer agencies. This is something that we are evaluating very closely, especially with regard to the CII sector, the commercial, industrial, and institutional sectors. There's a whole set of new performance measures that our water retailers will need to meet with their CII customers. And this could impact the programs that we offer to our retailers. Final regulations won't be adopted until next summer, but the first annual water report is due on January 1st, 2024, next month. So the retailers are already working to meet that initial deadline. The state also hosted their own workshop a couple of weeks ago to go over the first annual report with the retailers. And we encourage all of our retailers to attend, which we did see several of them in attendance. So that was good news. More information on this topic will be presented at the Future PI and Water Policy Committee meetings. That's just wanted to provide that report to you that we held this workshop and it was very successful. And I just wanted to see if there was any questions or comments about that.
Any questions?
Comments? Okay, thank you. Next slide, please. I am on packet page 122. My first update is on our partnership with SoCalGas. We continue to make very good progress with the installation of the residential water energy conservation devices in our priority areas. On this slide, we show the devices and the number of installations. As you can see in the last column to the right, we have met some of the device goals and are working to meet others. For example, we are at 101% with the installation of high efficiency toilets. We're at 110% with installing the shower heads. And these devices are the highest water saving devices. And we're also seeing very good progress with the installation of the outdoor sprinkler controllers, which is another big water saver. So we will continue to promote these irrigation controllers. Next slide, please. Here you can see the number of participants by city and county. We're seeing good participation from all our priority areas, and we're now up to 190 participants. Next slide, please. Back in July, we developed our first heat map and plotted all the participants. That's the map here shown on the left. And then we use this map to target the areas with little or no participation. As you can see there on the map on the left, there are some areas where we were seeing very good participation. So we directed our marketing to those areas and we developed this second heat map shown here on the right. And as you can see here, our strategic marketing worked, and we saw activity from the Westmont area, Athens area, South Gardena, and the Carson area. So by developing these heat maps and being strategic with our marketing, we've been successful at obtaining participation from all our priority areas. Staff continues to meet with SoCalGas representatives each month to track the progress, budget, and to discuss marketing efforts. Go ahead and move on to the next program. Next slide, please. I am on packet page 126. We've had, as was mentioned earlier in another presentation, we've had very successful rain barrel events this year. We started our events back in September, And we just recently completed our last event in the city of Culver City. As mentioned earlier, there was significant demand at all our events, and at multiple events, we gave the rain barrel events in record time, sometimes in about an hour. So lots of demand. On this table, you can see the list of the volunteer groups. That's the column there towards the right. Those are all the different groups that came out on Saturdays to help us with the rain barrel events. And then the column on the right shows how many rain barrels were available and how many were distributed. Those are the bolded numbers. So you can see we distributed all 1,500 rain barrels this year. Next slide, please. These are the final RSVP numbers for each event. We rely on these numbers to gauge the type and amount of outreach that is required for each event. This year, we relied mostly on low-cost email and social media to promote the events. But we did utilize door hangers for the Manhattan Beach and Inglewood events in order to reach the target RSVP numbers. This year, we did see a higher no-show rate of approximately 40%. So we will overbook the event to deal with that, with those no-shows in order to hit our target numbers. And we were able to distribute all of the rain barrels at our events. And at a couple where we didn't distribute them, we did get help from either the city to help us distribute the ones that were remaining, or we had residents contact us after the event who still wanted rain barrels. We were able to give those remaining rain barrels away as well. So eventually we gave them all away.
Cool.
Yes, that is the goal. I think that the fact that we were able to do this without using direct marketing for most of our events is a testament to both the great work done by our PI department with their social media campaigns, as well as the continued popularity of the program. Despite rain barrels becoming a bit more saturated in the service area, there's still a ways to go, I would say, especially with the demand we're seeing. Next slide, please. I'm currently back at page 128. So for our next steps, we'll be working with board services and our board to schedule the check presentations for the volunteer groups who assisted us. So I'll be working with board services to coordinate those with our directors. We in the South Bay COG also started an interest list on our website for the 2024 program. So residents can go on there now and put their information in there, and next year we'll contact them for the future events. We will also be reviewing our program and utilizing the results of our recent rain barrel customer survey that Genesis presented on to consider any improvements that may be needed. Next slide, please. Yeah, that was the end of my the rain barrel presentation. I'm going to go ahead and provide you with the last presentation on our partnership. This is our joint partnership with Las Virgenes Municipal Water District and LA County Water Works District 29. Next slide, please. So we finalized the three-way MOU with Las Virgenes. We worked with our legal counsel and their legal counsel to finalize this MOU language. We have now sent it over to LA County Water Works for their review and approval. This is a three-way MOU to implement this project in the North Santa Monica Bay area. Excuse me. So once Waterworks approves the MOU, staff will bring it back to the board for approval in the next couple of months. The three-way MOU, it spells out the roles and responsibilities and will allow us to invoice DWR for grant funding reimbursements. If you recall, this is the project for which we are expected to receive $630,000 in grant funding through the IRWIP grant program. At the same time, we have conducted a request for proposals to hire the project manager. One of West Basin's roles for this project is to hire the project manager. We will be reimbursed 100% by the grant for the project manager costs, which is around $300,000. Our goal is to bring back the project manager recommendation to our board in February. And the goal of the program is to begin in the spring of 2024 with this new project and with our partners, Los Virgenes and Waterworks. That is the end of my presentation. That's my last presentation. Take any questions or comments before I turn this over to Jennifer Vasquez.
Well, thank you very much. Yes, go ahead.
Quick question just on this one. So how long is the agreement? Is it how many years?
Project schedule is 3 years. Yes.
And then when the request for proposal comes back for approval, it usually goes through committee first, I believe, and so go to full board. Does it come to this?
Yes, it will come back to this committee. We're out to RFP right now through a competitive bid process, working with our contracts department. We have a panel, we'll be reviewing and scoring the proposals, bringing back the scores, and then we'll be interviewing them as well, scoring that, bringing that back to this bid recommendation.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Anyone else? Director Gray? Okay.
Turn over to Jennifer Vasquez. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, guys. Good afternoon, Chair Williams, committee and board members. I will continue the conservation updates on packet page 132 with the grass replacement plus program slides. As of November 21st, there were a total of 33 eligible applications that were received to the West Basin program website. A total of 28 residents have now received their landscape designs. And so those will be used now in the rebate application phase. This second phase of the Grass Replacement Plus program was launched on June 21st of this year. We're really happy with how quick the packages were distributed, just accounting for the fact that we're halfway through the fiscal year with still 6 months remaining for this program. Funding for the $5 per square foot rebate, the eligible census tracts, is anticipated to be available for the remainder of the fiscal year, depending, of course, on the burn rate. But we have anticipated putting enough in there for that $5 rebate for those participants that are now using that landscape design to actually apply for the rebate, and for any additional resident that's applying within those census tracts. The next goal, of course, is to assist residents in moving forward with project construction. We will focus on the second goal in the next few months for the fiscal year to close out offering support to all of the participants to begin utilizing those designs that I just mentioned. Slides 133 and 134 highlight 2 completed designs. This shows only a portion of the detailed design package, which includes the plant selection and also quantities, irrigation plan and designated irrigation zones, and maintenance guidelines. In these slides, they only include that first page, which shows the quantities and the type of plant selection that the resident went through with the landscape designer to choose for their home. And it's a great variety there that we could also feature in our website soon when they are completed with the before and afters. On slide 135, we feature a third landscape design that was recently completed, that completed the construction phase. A total of 460 square feet were removed in the backyard, and this resident will receive $2,300 for their project. Of course, it's smaller in size, so we know that, of course, the smaller the project, the quicker sometimes we see the completion. So this was one of them that they received their landscape package, went ahead and completed the construction, and it really created a great update to their walkway space. So on slide 137, or 136, excuse me, the before and after of this backyard area is included. This resident was able to create a walkway, created a stormwater capture element that's appropriately sized for their area, and added drought tolerant plants, of course, through this process. So just wanted to highlight there along with their landscape design package featured in the prior slide. On slide 137, the table of applications per city are included with all current updates. So please note that, of course, we are at 33 out of 35 for the landscape packages. There are approximately 3 to 4 residents that have delayed in scheduling their design consultation. So we are waiting to see if they are moving forward with that design consultation. Otherwise, we would open an additional 3 to 4 slots. So we're thinking maybe in the January 2024 timeframe, the beginning of the year, really counting how many packages we truly have to release so that we do one final push to get those packages out to the community. We are really happy with this program and how it serves our priority communities. As we begin our budget planning season, we are really looking at keeping this program and continuing our focus on the outdoor water efficiency piece, which is really important. Moving into the residential grass replacement rebate section on page 139. In the month of November, the SoCal WaterSmart website received a total of 8 new applications. It is typical for applications to experience a small dip as we get closer to the holidays. Noting from activity last year, we do see that November and December come in with less applications, picking up in the new year. However, we are continuing to find ways to generate interest in the program and will continue tracking program activity, picking up in the new year as well. Additionally, I wanted to note that staff sent out a tracking table for applications that show applications that came in initially through fiscal year 22-23, but were carried over from then and are now being completed in fiscal year 23-24. So these numbers reflected those applications that were either paid out or are pending payment, and in the fiscal year, and overall in combination with this table here that you're seeing on this current page, we're generating a great number of completions for the program. We were also encouraged to hear at last week's Metropolitan Caucus meeting that they are continuing to focus on outdoor water efficiency for the longer term. So a lot of the projects that they were mentioning then really tie in really well with what we're doing with grass replacement and outdoor efficiency overall. So we're hoping that the additional news that was recently generated for their awarded grant will also help spur activity for staff and also residents that are hearing these great news of the increased grant amounts. Estimates from Metropolitan staff anticipate that they will increase funding by mid-February 2024 for a lot of those rebates that are grant funded for Metropolitan. And a full report with the detailed impacts will be included in January's PI committee so that everyone's aware of where the dollar amounts are and what the shifts will be due to that funding. Board packet page 141 has information about the Metropolitan grass replacement classes. So in November of 2023, Metropolitan announced that a limited selection of in-person classes will become available in 2024. And the 3 classes that they highlighted are listed on the slide here. They did note that there is a minimum 6-week advance notice required for all of the in-person classes that they are starting. Additionally, they would like to see at least 40 people registered prior to hosting the class. So they will check in with the agency 14 days prior to the class to make sure that the numbers for those registrations are up, there prior to hosting the class. We were also recently contacted by the City of Long Beach to consider potentially co-hosting in-person and virtual options for classes. And we will be considering that along with anything that we would like to do for in-person classes in 2024. Lastly, I wanted to highlight some recent activity for the public agency program and rebate activity. I am now on page 144 of the board packet. And so initial interest was shared by the Lawndale Elementary School District. I think I mentioned that last month, possibly. Since the board memo was drafted, staff scheduled an on-site landscape design consultation with the Director of Maintenance. Before photos are included on board packet page 145. Additionally, just last week, we received notification that West LA College is actually moving forward with a grass replacement rebate application, including 12,600 square feet of existing grass on campus. They're looking to install a native microforest. So I was really encouraged to see the slides, and I will definitely be including more information at the next committee with the photos that they sent over. They're including irrigation upgrades, educational signage, and they're hoping to have a community planting day in November of 2024 and having West Basin involved with that community event. So we will review those slides, include them within the PI committee for next month. And make sure to share any updates as we learn more about that West LA College project, as long as others that are moving along, including this one that's featured with the Lawndale Elementary School District. Not included in this board package, but again, we'll include more detail. They just received their landscape design package, so we're hoping to meet with them in the next few weeks to see what edits they would like to see for their design. But as you see, it's a lot of grass in front of their building, so there's a lot of opportunity there for us to make that change. For some of the other projects, Manhattan Beach was recently approved a few months ago to move forward and continuing exploring after a city council meeting. And we are waiting for the next step to move forward with their rebate application as soon as their staff shares over that they're ready with that. Also wanted to note that for Redondo Beach listed on here within the public agency projects that they are moving into the RFP phase of their project. They're pricing their project first to move that forward. So we're waiting on word for that also. For a full list of all of the projects for public agencies, please feel free to reference the full memo list on page 118, which is the full list of projects there. And that is the last of my updates. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you both. The next item and the last item on our information calendar is our monthly water bottle filling station program update. And for this presentation, we have Tammy Hurley-High, our water policy and resources analyst too.
Good afternoon, Chair Williams, member of the committee and board. So today, this update is an update on the water bottle filling station program. And the presentation slides begin on page 151 of the committee packet. So here, this list, it shows the applications that were received for last fiscal year. And we have an update from the last report of several stations that have been recently installed. And so these include in Division 1, one station in the city of Rolling Hills Estates. And in Division 3, one station in the city of Manhattan Beach. In Division 4, 2 stations at Delaware Park. And Division 5, 2 stations at Alondra Park. And then also all applicants from prior fiscal years have been installed for their station. So we're all caught up. Yeah. Next slide, please. And this slide shows applications that we received recently. Happy to report that we have a few here. We have 3 stations located in Division 4 that include 2 from Center Street Elementary School and then 1 from the Wiseburn Unified School District. And then for Division 5, we have 1 received from the Environmental Charter High School in Gardena. So next slide, please. We were able to schedule a couple of photo opportunities with staff of the County of Los Angeles Department of Parks and Recreation. And this slide shows the stations that are at Del Air Park. So Del Air Park is a heavily utilized 7-acre park, which is located to an elementary school, next to an elementary school. And shown here from left to right, these folks include Mr. Chris Elliott, who is the Facilities Operations Manager, President Houston, Ms. Ara An from the Office of County Board Supervisor Holly Mitchell, and Ms. Mika Yamamoto. She is a Regional Operations Manager for the Department of Parks and Recreation Department. So this is a wall-mounted station. As you can see, it's located just outside of the gym, facing the field and the play equipment area. And the gym is used for league sports, families to use the play equipment for their children. Next slide, please. And this station is located along the walking path and next to the baseball field. Delaware Park is a beautiful park. It's heavily utilized, as I had mentioned, by families and young children with the recreational activities. Next slide, please. So the Department of Parks and Recreation also completed 2 new station installations at Lenox Park. And this wall-mounted station is located across from the basketball courts, the exercise equipment, and the play equipment areas. And included in this photo from left to right is Miss Jill Soriel. She is the Deputy Director of the County Department of Parks and Recreation. Mr. Alfonso Ruiz Delgado from the Office of County Board Supervisor Holly Mitchell. And Mr. Chris Elliott, who is a facilities manager again. Next slide, please. And this station is located along the walking path and is positioned in between the baseball field and the swimming pool. Lennox Park is also a heavily utilized park. Now we have youth, families, and sports team use the park all day for physical activity and various recreation activities. The county Department of Parks and Recreation is grateful for the funding opportunity that West Basin offers and being able to provide their community members with access to safe, clean drinking water. Next slide, please. Another station's been installed. This is at 156th Street Elementary School, part of the Los Angeles Unified School District, located in Gardena. And shown in this photo from left to right is Miss Christy Wu. She is from the LA Unified School District's office. And then next to her using the station, this is Principal Melissa Heckman. And this station is located outside the lunch pavilion in a shaded area with several picnic tables around. And there are more than 300 students that are enrolled in this school. And they are very appreciative of it as well. And looking forward to more opportunities of submitting applications in the near future. They have other older style stations. So they might be interested in submitting more applications. I'll keep you updated on that. Next slide, please. And these are photos I'd like to share of other stations that have recently been installed. Shown here is a before and after photos for two stations located at the City of Hawthorne's Civic Center. So on the left side is a station installed inside of the main area of the Senior Center building near the kitchen. This location is highly used, frequently visited by the city's senior citizen population who visit to participate in classes, programs, and special events. And then on the right is a station installed at the Memorial Center building. Again, this location is a highly used area that is frequently visited by community members to participate in classes and special events. And approximately 200 people per day travel through here, and up to 1,000 people during special events. Next slide, please. So here's a look at this year's budget for the program, which shows the applications that have been received so far. As I had mentioned earlier, Center Street Elementary applications, they've been received, they've been reviewed, and they have been approved. Also, Whiteburn Unified School District had now been approved, and Environmental Charter High School in Gardena has been approved. So we're happy to report that. And then lastly, I just wanted to mention that we are promoting this program through our schools in our area. And so we will be bringing back more information to keep you updated, but we're just making sure that we have all the right contact information, and we're really trying to, focus on getting to get this information to make them aware of it and promote it, of course, in an effort to receive more applications. So again, I'll keep you updated on that, how that progresses in the coming months. Yeah, and that concludes my report. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Questions, comments?
One or two things, Tammy. So thank you very much. And I'm really glad, for example, the county for unincorporated areas in the Parks and Rec Department have been taking advantage of this. So the other day I was at the tree lighting and ran into the Public Works Director, Elias. But a resident brought to my attention that also in the teen center, apparently, I think it still has an old drinking fountain in there or near there. The kids apparently are going across the street, Starbucks and places asking for very big plastic cups of water because there's not a really good drinking fountain. And so I chatted with Elias about it, but if staff could follow up with him, I think the teen center's been somewhat renovated and or down the road be more work done to it. But if there's a chance we could get something in there replaced, it might be a great opportunity. But again, young people, so we talked about kids earlier, they're literally going across the street and asking for water, water for Starbucks and private companies, when they don't trust that drinking fountain or whatever the deal is. So that's a thought. And then the other thing is, 'cause I'm always trying to think of ways to continue outreach. So I know Tammy's doing a great job. I think, now that you're starting those relationships with, the county, Parks and Rec or Rex and Park, whichever way it is. Maybe that's an idea where in our unincorporated areas like Topeka Canyon or some of those other offshoots, if, sometimes the folks you're working with may not be the right lead in the one area geographically, but they'll know someone to talk to up there, because we are sometimes pulling straws a bit to try and find more opportunities, but I don't think we've hardly done anything in Topanga. And that might be something through your contacts. The library building is, I don't know if it needs one, but I don't know if they have any parks facilities. Maybe there's an opportunity or an outdoor type of station. So just another thought, vision 4, and I just try to build these relationships.
Okay,
Thank you.
great. Thank you. Thank you for that feedback. I really do appreciate it. And that could be an opportunity. I'll certainly look into that Topanga area. Yeah, and then thanks for bringing up the teen center. We can follow up with that as well, and see how the city is, if they can submit an application. Thank you.
Very good. Okay, any questions, comments? Hearing none. Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. That concludes our information calendar, and there are no closed session items today.
Okay. With that, we have any directors' comments or future agenda items?
I have no additional comments. I think this was a good batch of reports today, so thank you all.
Very good. Director, Peter.
It's very clear that the employees involved in this part of our organization do a super job. And getting the word out to the public and so on. I'm so proud that Division 5 have so many participants in so many activities. And I have to thank the employees for making it possible, so they can know about it. You all did a great job.
Very good. Thank you. Anyone else?
No, thank you. Thank you to staff. Thank you.
Okay, well, hearing no further comment, I will declare this meeting adjourned. And we'll see you guys next year.